But I wanted Bigfoot to be real for sure. Just like I want Jesus to be real.
He is. You know how you know Jesus is real right in this moment?
How?
Well, hey, everybody, this interaction between Joe Rogan and Kid Rock is absolutely classic. It's great. It's weird all at the same time. And it's got a lot of content in a short amount of time that we just need to think about and brings up some great subject matter. Let's check it out.
If you could go to one place, where would you go? If you had one shot, you can go back in time once and survive and come back to the future. Where would you go?
Great question, by the way.
Jesus.
Jesus. But what if there was nobody there?
Even better, I get them all to myself. Just me.
That reply shows that Kid Rock is at least very sincere. I mean, it's obviously kind of flew past him, but, he responded a good way. I can have him all to myself.
In Jesus?
No, I mean, what if Jesus wasn't there? What if you go back and you're like, I just want to go see Jesus? And you're like, okay. What
there.
time?
He'd be there. He'd probably like a DJ back then, cutting that shit up. Fucking.
Okay, there's a little bit of a Ricky Bobby thing going on with that comment, but
he's there.
You think there's a real Jesus?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely?
Absolutely. 1,000%.
What makes you convinced?
My faith.
I mean, that's a good answer.
That pause, I love. My faith. What are you going to say about it? I can't object. I can't pursue. But to Joe Rogan's credit, he's good at this. He just says a good answer, and that's the main thing we want to talk about towards the end. Now I'll go ahead and let it play out pretty well.
I always wonder when people are telling stories, though, like how long did that story take before people wrote it down? How many times did people alter it? Just like they do with everything today. I got to imagine that at a certain point in time in history, they probably didn't tell the truth about a lot of things. And we take those things and tell them through oral traditions, have them written down.
Well, there's a difference between lies and between the truth getting, manipulated and twisted a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The underlying usually is still there.
So you think the real truth was that he actually was the Son of God?
Yes.
It'd be amazing if it was true.
It is amazing.
I believe you. I believe that you believe that.
Would you like to be introduced to Jesus?
Listen, I think the concept of Jesus is absolutely amazing. And if Jesus came here and wanted to visit me, I would be psyched.
Would you like to know?
That's a great answer as well. I mean, to his credit.
Oh, Jesus?
In what way?
I can put my pastor on your show.
I'm good.
This is great. Pastor Paula White.
Very
Trump's spiritual advisor, too.
Oh, that's
we should have her on the show. Talk about Jesus.
I'm very interested in the idea of Jesus being a real person. But I look at it the same way I look at everything else. Whereas, so
let's circle
what
back.
the words
let's
are.
Let's circle back. You told me that you believed in Bigfoot.
No, I was joking around. I was joking
okay.
around. I was joking around. But I wanted Bigfoot to be real for sure. Just like I want Jesus to be real.
He is?
Well, the thing, Bigfoot used to be real. The thing that I found out when I really got fascinated by Bigfoot.
You know how you know Jesus is real right in this moment?
How?
Because the forgiveness that I am exercising by drinking this Bud Light right now.
Oh, that's Jesus?
That's Jesus.
Okay, I was gonna let it play out. I don't want to question his sincerity, but the Bud Light forgiveness link is, What do you do with that?
Jesus is everywhere. He's in this room. He's in the world. He's in the universe. By the aliens that you want so desperately to be real or have the concept of them being real, that's Jesus. That is Jesus. As a Christian, I have to believe in forgiveness.
Beautiful. Cheers. Well said.
I never thought I'd have to explain Jesus through drinking a Bud Light, but
you're not explaining it. You're saying how you feel.
Jesus and God are everywhere. They're everywhere. Yeah. Every time you look at a flower that blooms, or you look at one of your children, you're like, that's Jesus. That is Jesus. That is God.
Yeah, I want to be real clear. I'm not like...
I just saw a shooting star.
Yeah.
How cool is that? That's God going, bang, nailed it.
Sort of. That's every 30 seconds it happens.
I haven't seen one all interview. I just happen to be speaking passionately about Jesus and God, and that mother went whoop.
But that's how confirmation bias happens. That's what makes people believe certain things, like that Jesus sent that fucking stars on a.
Okay, so there is a lot to laugh about. I mean, let's just be real here, the Bud Light and forgiveness thing and all that. But there is a serious point where he questions. All right, you go back in time and you want to see one person. You see Jesus. I want to see Jesus. Well, what if he's not there? He's asking the question of, was he really historical? Was he actually there in the sense that you can go back in a time machine and actually talk to him? And that's a legitimate question. And he says, well, 1,000% I believe it. Why do you believe it? And how do you know? Because of my faith. Okay, and on one hand, yes, that is a fair answer, but it's not a helpful one, because what Joe Rogan is actually processing is a real true question. It'd be like, what if he had picked George Washington or something like that, or Napoleon or any other historical figure? How do you know they're there? Is it just because you believe in some kind of vacuous way or personal subjective way? No, we know George Washington was there because of historical records and witnesses and the impact of life. We have reasons to believe it. That's how history works. And this is one of the great frustrations that I can have, or I do have, about faith and how we use faith. We often think of faith as just purely our subjective feelings when it's not. Jesus is there whether you believe he's there or not, in the same way that all true things are true whether you believe them or not. That's the essence of what this thing is really all about. Jesus really did live. He really did die on a cross. He really did rise again from the dead. And if I believe that, that's great for me. But if I don't believe it and it still happened, well, it still happened whether I believe it or not. And that's a critical thing. Now, I also, he said the whole thing about I can introduce you to Jesus. I could have you, my pastor, do that. He mentioned Paula White. I honestly don't know a whole lot about Paula White, and so I can't make any assessments there. I've heard some interesting things just kind of through the grapevine. But I wish that Joe Rogan could sit down, and I think he has. He sat down with Stephen Meyer, a scientist, to at least kind of walk through some things on an evidential level. I wish Joe Rogan could sit down with some people that really could walk through the historical evidence. Why do we believe that Jesus was an actual real person in an actual real time and space? And there's very intelligent answers to those things. But seeing Jesus everywhere, on one hand, yes, that's true. But we need to grasp something. We need to grasp that there are reasons why we do believe, and that leads us to the place where we can see Jesus in a child or a shooting star or whatever else. But those are the very things that are being challenged by modern science and everything else. And so you have to kind of go against those things in real place. Because here's the bottom line. If it were good enough just to say, my faith is what confirms it, anybody could say that about anything. No matter what you believe, you could say, well, how do you know that's true? Well, because I believe it. Well, that's not exactly how it works. We go into that more in depth in another video we've done. I want to invite you to look at. It's called The Worst Argument for Believing the Bible, where we talk about faith and trust and how they actually function. So I hope you'll check that out. Thanks for joining. Hit like and subscribe. We'd love to put out more content like this. See you next time.